Well, welcome to today's webinar. And this is our first session of a 2-day webinar series. And of course, as you know, my name's Jen Witherow, and I'd like to introduce you to our team here in Australia. We've got Sarah Woodlands, who's going to give us a wave. And then we've got Neera, who is hopefully popping up there on the screen for us. Neera Martins. Oh, Neera, I'm sorry, I always say your name wrong, but lovely Neera.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, Neera, can you say your last name again for us? Martez.
Martinez Casas.
Isn't it a beautiful sounding name? So yes, thanks, Neera. So we're here today for our webinar, and so the very first thing I'd like to do, and it's a tradition, becoming an Australian tradition, and that's the acknowledgement of country. And what we want to do is, at the Queensland University, we acknowledge the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands on which we meet. We pay our respects to their ancestors and descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connection to country. We recognise their valuable contribution to Australian and global society. So for our lovely international visitors, that is the way we acknowledge the traditional owners, the Indigenous peoples who had originally, who were the first people living in Australia. And it's an important acknowledgement to those people and to the traditional ownership of the land in which we meet. And so we do this at the start of special events and the start of any special or important meetings that we're having. And we see this today as being a very important meeting. So thanks for that. So let's go. Sarah, I'll get you to stop sharing your screen for a moment, and we'll see whether we can see as many people as we can. So I know that it's going to cause a little bit of problem. It may cause a little bit of problem for some people, but can we turn on the videos so we can see who's here today with us? So we can just do some introductory faces. Very good. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we've got a couple of moments, and I'm just going to get you to say your name and where in Pakistan you are at the moment. So Hinder, I'll get you to start. Thanks. And and your work organization as well.
Okay. Should I start?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. My name is Hina Shahid, and I'm a project coordinator at Asma Jahangir Legal Aid Cell. And I run a program of paralegal training program, and it has two components. One is for the training of the women, and the second is the community centers that we have established in Lahore and Kasur, that is in the province of Punjab. There are 16 centers that we are working with at the grassroots level with women. And I'm currently in Lahore.
Great. Thank you very much. Well done. Zara. Hello. Welcome. Zara, where are you from?
Hello, I'm from Lahore, which is the capital of our province, Punjab. And it is the most populated province.
Yes.
And has all kinds of issues. But I right now am representing a theatre organization which is trying to use theatre for social change.
Yes.
And we want to upgrade our organization for the new generation, and especially with this new technology, which I think with this COVID situation, we have suddenly been hit very hard with. And we are trying to incorporate technology into our world. And there are many aspects to performing arts which can really complete an individual and a society. And for that, it is important to be given importance to this
Yes,
field
sure.
of
Okay.
arts.
Now, ladies, we just need a really quick introduction. Now, I should know that our lovely women from Pakistan are wonderful talkers. It's one of the very best features of you all, and I know that. So can we just have just your name and your organisation, and we'll keep going, if that's okay? Thank you. Great. Now, I've got a, is that Imra? Is that, because there are some people who don't have their names up. Dana? Sarah, can you help us here with the names that we've got?
So we've got Sana Ahmad.
Sana? Yes. So Sana, can you just unmute, show us your face, and say what organisation you work for? No, can't hear yet.
Might have a connection problem. So let's go with Imrana.
Imrana? Very good.
I'm Imrana
Yes.
from Islamabad, and
Very good.
basically I'm M&E professional and representing as Sangeet Development Foundation. It's
Great.
an organization working for last 30 years in Pakistan for social change and inclusion.
Very good. Thank you. And Sana? Unmute.
Hello,
Hello. Yes. Can
are
just
you
say-
hearing me?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
We can. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes, yes. Now it's okay.
Okay.
I'm Shanaz from Sindh, Pakistan. Basically, I'm from the rural area of the Mirpur Khas, and I'm running my own organization, which is working for the rural girl education. So I'm working for the promotion of the education of the rural girls. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Hi everyone,
Hi.
I'm Nazia, project coordinator, Seymour Women's Source and Publication Center. Currently, I'm in Lahore. I'm working on 2 projects based on sexual and reproductive health rights and women economic empowerment. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Okay. Okay. So who else haven't we heard from?
Hello everyone, it's Aisha Hassan from Lahore, and I'm based in Lahore, and I work in an organization called Community World Service Asia. Thanks.
Terrific. Thanks. Okay. Nazir?
Hello everyone.
Yes.
Hello everyone. Good to see you all. And I'm Marzia, working in NRSP as a project manager. Basically, I'm working in 2 projects, which is based on livelihood improvement of the poor women, especially in fisheries component. Thank you so much.
Great. Fantastic. And who else haven't we heard from?
We've got someone with the name of Yasmin. I'm not sure which of our participants this is.
Don't know either.
Might have a slightly different screen name to what they normally use. but,
Right.
mm,
Okay.
I'll investigate the mystery.
Okay. That's great. All right. Okay. Who haven't we heard from? Speak up, say your name, unmute, say your name, and which organisation.
Yes, I'm Sundar Swarsi. I'm working with CHIP.
Okay. Do you want to just show us your face? Can we
Sure.
see? Yeah, just for a moment. It's always
Yes,
nice
sure.
just to actually see as many faces as we can, particularly as we have our first guest here who's going to be speaking to us today. And it's always nice to have faces to talk to, particularly if you've been on this Zoom for a while. So thanks, Sanders. Nice
Yes,
to see you.
exactly.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Great.
I think next is Seher.
Yes, Sahir? Unmute.
Hi, hello everyone. This is Seher from Oxfam.
Oh, yes.
Good morning to
lovely.
everyone.
Good morning.
Great to see you. Okay.
Thank you.
So can we see you? Can you
Can
show
I
the-
get excused? I'm in my night pajamas and dress.
Oh,
So
how lovely. Busted is what we would say in Australia. Ah, well, I must say I've got my my yoga pants on underneath, so I think we're all a bit sort of look better at the top. So anybody else? Who else hasn't said they're welcome to us today? I'm not sure who's HP at the moment. We've got a HP with no name on
Might
it.
be
So.
Fayal.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So that will have to do us for our welcome to get started. Now, if there's anybody else who hasn't said hello, can you say hello in the chat?
Everyone. Hello,
Oh.
everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yes.
That's great.
How are you, everyone? Jen, Sarah, everyone. It was a great day to talking to you and attend this session.
Good.
I hope we will enjoy this session, and it's very helpful for us to enhance our learning as well to
come together
implement our return to work plan more successfully.
Yes, let's hope so. So we're very lucky today because we've got some fantastic speakers. So
Yes.
I'm going to actually now go to our speaker view, and I'm going to introduce our very first speaker to get our show on the road. Now, just as a quick couple of reminders, we do have the chat going. So if there are any questions that come to mind when we progress through our conversation with our guest speakers today, please jot them in the chat so that we can make sure that your question gets answered. And we have a really extraordinary range of guests with us. These are terrific women leaders in civil society organisations, and so we do have quite a diverse range of people who will be speaking to you over a diverse range of subjects. And and we're very, very privileged to have Yasmin Khan, who's the director of the Bengal Foundation, who's going to speak to us today about that particular foundation. But Yasmin is a community activist who stands for justice on many issues, primarily around domestic abuse and the rights of women in Islam. And I think you'll find that many of our participants today will be able to connect with the sort of work that Yasmin is doing and promoting, and that's why we invited her to speak to you today. Now, she is a fifth-generation cane farmer's daughter from North Queensland with a Pakistani heritage. And Yasmin was Queensland Australian of the Year in 2017. It's a big recognition in our country and particularly in our state for extraordinary work. And I just wanted to be able to make sure that our participants understood the significance of the leadership of Yasmin. She's also been a Local Heroes Award winner, the Australian Muslim Achievements Award, Lifetime Award recipient in 2017, the Queensland Multicultural Ambassador in 2015, and was awarded a Churchill Fellowship in 2017. And I think the thing about Yasmin is that she's being the director of the Bengal Foundation, which focuses on domestic abuse support centre, focusing on women from the Indian subcontinent. And she was also the founder of Eid Fest, which is an award-winning festival that celebrates the end of Ramadan, which they've been running for 11 years before giving it over to the Islamic Council of Queensland. So thank you, Yasmin. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us today. And I'm just wondering if you can please share with our participants a little bit about yourself, about your background, and perhaps what drew you to this important work.
Thank you, Jen. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yes, we can. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies. Thank you for joining us. I saw the timetable and I saw that it was 2 o'clock here, which was fine, but it was 9 o'clock in the morning in Pakistan. And the many, many, many times that I've been to Pakistan, I don't think I've gotten up before 9 o'clock in the morning. So well done, you. And the one that's still in their sleeping clothes, I know exactly how you feel because people don't get up too early in Pakistan to do these sorts of things. But it's wonderful that you've joined us, and it's a shame that we can't meet face to face, but inshallah we will do so. So my background, my family have been here in Australia for about 150 years. And one part of it did come from pre-partition India, and my mum is from Pakistan, and the other part of it came from Britain. And you know, the intermarriage and all that happened along the way. My husband is from Pakistan, and I was in Pakistan in January. Actually, we just got back just before COVID started. I was there in February. So that was I'm a semi-regular visitor to Pakistan. So what I do here is run the Bengal Foundation. The Bengal Foundation is probably now 7 years old. And what it is, it's a support service for women from the Indian subcontinent, whether you be Pakistani, Afghani, Indian, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan, it didn't matter. We don't discriminate. And whether you are Sikh, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, again, we don't discriminate. So we are a support service. We're not social workers. We're not case managers. We are an unfunded service, and we are totally voluntary. And what we basically do is just help women through their situation. We don't, you know, we don't counsel them. We give advice, and we direct them through the pathway of whatever their decision making is. And their decision making is their decision. I don't say to them, oh, you need to leave your husband straight away, pack your bags and go. That's not my decision. That's their decision. So we give those women some ability to make their own decisions, to make their own choices, what suits them at a time that suits them. We, over, you know, my lifetime of working in paid employment, I have been very lucky and privileged, I suppose, to be able to be a voice for those that can't speak for themselves, that have English as a second language, that have that have issues around access to Centrelink funding, to money, to government handouts, to even just going to see government departments and being able to tell their story and do those sorts of things. So I lived in a little country town, and you know, people used to come to us, especially we were the only Pakistani family in our little country town. So when a new lot of migrants would come in, they were primarily from the Punjab region of India, and they would come, and my mother, because, you know, we all spoke Punjabi, my mother would be sort of like the central hub, and people would come and visit us. And, you know, get some advice about where to go and how to do things, and, you know, buy cars and buy houses and that. So it just became second nature. My dad died when I was about 12 years old, and my mum was 28 with 7 children under the age of 12. So I became an adult very, very quickly. And in that, I learnt to do things long before my peers did. I remember, you know, going to school, and they were teaching us in economics class about how to write a check. And, oh, I don't know, what's a checkbook? What's a check? This, that, and everything else. I'd written hundreds of checks by that stage. So I knew these things. I knew, you know, I went to the bank to do things. I'd go to, you know, all sorts of places to get things done, because, you know, my mum, there were 7 kids. And my dad wasn't there, and limited income and all those sorts of things. So anyway, we've moved on from there, and I've been very lucky that I've had quite stable jobs in a variety of areas. I work for the public service. I had my own business. I had, you know, 25 employees. I worked in the media, and I worked for the federal parliament. So I've had a variety of jobs, but what that has given me is access to people and places, and to an ability to build networks. So wherever I can utilize my networks or call on my networks, I do. So that's the beauty of building relationships over many years. You know, people that I've known for 25, 30 years, you build those relationships, and you rely on those relationships. You call on those relationships, not to exploit them, but just to guide you. Maybe someone can help somebody to connect people to network. So that's one of the advantages of having this variety of experience in my life. We started Eid Fest, which is the Eid festival after Ramadan. It's now 18 years ago, I think. And we started that to bring the community together. We're all about community building, bring the community together, celebrate the end of Ramadan. We've got a very diverse, in Pakistan, it's just Pakistani people. When we have Eid here, we've got Pakistani people, we've got Indian people, we've got Bosnian people, we've got Fijian people, South Africans, a whole diaspora of different ethnicities, different, traditions, different languages. So we're a very, very diverse Muslim community here in Brisbane. And what we wanted to bring all of that community together and allow us as a community to celebrate our Eid. And not only that, then move on to opening that celebration up to the rest of Brisbane and saying, look, we enjoy Christmas, we enjoy Easter celebrations. Now's the time to learn about Eid and what Eid means to the Muslim community. We've got a mosque here in Brisbane, the Holland Park Mosque, which my forefathers were part of building. And it is now 112 years old. It is one of the oldest religious buildings in Brisbane. So that just goes to show how old our community is here and how long we've been around. So in that regard, it was a lost opportunity that we as a community have never taken up, the ability to publicly showcase what our religion is all about and what it is that we believe in. And that's why we thought we'd do it in a festive atmosphere, and that was the Eid Festival, of course. We were very lucky that we went on to win a number of awards, best community event, Australia Day awards, all sorts of things. We've been very lucky. And after about 11 years, we got a bit jaded, I suppose, and decided that, we didn't have a succession plan. Nobody was sort of coming along and saying, we want to join you and work with you. It was the same people all the time doing it every year after year. So we handed it over to the Islamic Council of Queensland, who look after it. And we moved into this space of domestic abuse. And we were very lucky that we were given an office and a community hall to look after. Where we are now is we're a community centre, but primarily a support service. And a lot of my support is, I don't even get to meet my clients because they're talking to me on the internet. They're on Facebook, they're on WhatsApp, they're sending me messages. And that's how they outreach to me. And it's not as if they need, and I say to the women, if you're being physically abused, call the police, get some help, get out of there. But for these other women who are sitting there thinking, mulling it over, what do I do in this situation? How do I work through this? They don't know anybody in Australia. They can't talk to their family back home. They've been quite restricted in, their friendships within their local community. They probably don't know the rest of the community. They don't know their neighbours. And that's, that's typical signs of abuse. Of course, they've been isolated from their community and isolated from everyone else. So they reach out on Facebook and they've got anonymous Facebook pages and anonymous names. And so at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're likely to get a WhatsApp message from somebody. Oh, I saw your name on Facebook. I saw your phone number, because I put my phone number's out there. And so people contact me. I get phone calls from Pakistan. I'm talking to somebody. So where are you? She said, I'm sitting in Karachi at the moment. Okay. So I get women from all over the world ringing me. I've had them out from New Zealand, from South Africa, women who are stranded in their countries, women whose husbands have abandoned them. So there's a whole heap of experiences that women are going through that are in contact with me. And the idea is that they contact me because I'm somebody they don't know. I'm a stranger to them, so I can give them frank and fearless advice. I can give them information that they may not be aware of. They know that I'm not going to go back and tell their family because I don't know who they are. And it's a point of trust, I suppose. One woman, she said, you've just got to read this. I can't talk to you, but I can send you a message. My husband's in the other room and I won't be able to talk. So she was just typing away. I'm sorry, you have to read all this, she says. She apologized. And I said, look, whatever it takes, however long it takes, you just keep writing. If it means that we get the story out and I get to understand what it is that you're going through. So these women are suffering. And the difficulty that they have is, apart from not telling anyone, the difficulty, of course, is that they've got visa issues. So they may not tell anyone because they don't want to compromise their ability to stay in the country. They've got parental issues because they don't want to tell their parents that they're having marriage problems because, you know, what's everyone going to say? They may have in-law issues because, you know, the mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law is putting pressure on them for whatever reason. And they just may have husband issues, you know. He's been no good. He's into porn. He's closet homosexual. He's got another wife. So there's, 150 different scenarios of the experiences that women go through. And these women are unprepared because they've come from Pakistan primarily and India, and they haven't been given any instructions on how to work through marriage issues. A lot of the information that I'm giving back to women on Facebook is around open lines of communication. Talk to your husband. Oh, my husband's doing this. What do I do in that situation? Open your mouth and say something. Talk to him. Relationships are built on trust and honesty and transparency. So you need to build those pathways. You're living in a country now where the old ways that you've experienced or you've seen your parents or your grandparents go through doesn't quite sit here. And so
I was just wondering whether I could just ask you, how many women do you normally deal with? Do you have any statistics on the numbers of people who contact you and your foundation?
Well, we don't keep statistics.
Okay.
And only because we're non-funded, so we don't have to. So there's
yes, of course.
And we're not case managers.
Yes, okay.
So I'm not looking after a case that works through one issue to the next issue and then I've moved her out and put her somewhere and then I've got to keep this report. We're not that. Somebody will ring me, somebody will get in touch. What do you think I should do in this situation? Well, tell us your background. So they'll tell me their story. Okay, well, you need to make these choices. What's the best for you? What's the best for your children? Do you think he's likely to change? Have you done relationship counselling? All those sorts of things. And I may never speak to that woman ever again.
Right.
So it's those sorts of support service that we provide, and then others may just turn up and say, look, I've got this this situation, I need to put a DVO in against my husband, can you help me? So we help them fill out the forms.
So how do they find out about you? You know, what's the process of being able to identify your...
It's social media, that's it. I'm on various pages that are working towards the market or the cohort of women that I'm targeting, because I've got that background. And a lot of my volunteers are from that background, and we've got African women that work with us and whatever. So again, it depends on who the person is. If I've got an Arab woman, I want an Arab woman working with me so that, we've got the translations right. But it's about that culturally appropriate service provision that mainstream services can't provide our women, because they can't just tell women to pack your bags and go, because they've got they may have elderly parents still at home with them, they may have in-laws at home with them, they may have children at home. So the issues around religion, around tradition, around culture are impacting on their ability to be able to make a decision to get out. And they may need to get out, and they may be in dire need to get out. But then they think, okay, well, what's my father going to say? And what's my mother saying? And my older brother. I had a lady the other day says, I've said to him something to my brother the other day, and he says, whatever you do, stay in your relationship. I mean, Dister is huge, but he keeps telling her to stay.
Yes, it's very difficult. Yasmin, I just wanted to know a bit more about the way you've structured your organisation. So you've got a range of different volunteers, and it's a multicultural group of volunteers. And then they connect with you through the web pages and through other social media. And referral. Is there any other way that it's just that for our participants, they no doubt have, are providing perhaps some services not dissimilar to your own. And I was just wondering whether you had any unique tips or ideas that help you get your message across, or connect with your client, the types of women who need.
Well, when we first started it 6 or 7 years ago, we had a little bit of funding from the Queensland government to do a domestic abuse sort of an awareness campaign. And again, it's one of those sorts of things. People say, how busy are you? I said, I'm busy. I don't want to be busy. The fact that I am busy means that I've got clients, and that means that women are in trouble. I don't want to be busy. I want to be able to close my organisation down so that we never have to deal with this sort of issue. But unfortunately, that's not the way of the world. So when we started 6 or 7 years ago, what I did was, and I think Sarah's got my posters there, but we started off with a set of 4 posters. These are all my own ideas, and that poster there particularly is the one that was that's been the one that's tweeted around the world. That got us a final, that series of 4 anyway got us a final. We were finalist in an award for an Australian the Migration Council Award. They've been tweeted everywhere. We've had Queensland Police come to us and get a copy of that, and one of those posters are in every police station on the south side of Brisbane. These posters are all over the police stations in the whole of New South Wales. So they have been very provocative, some of them.
Very powerful imagery.
Very
powerful imagery.
These are all out of my head. I sat down with my graphic designer and we designed them. I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like. And he was on the same wavelength. We got to where we did. This is the only one in particular that is pointed towards Muslim women. So this one worked for whether you came from Arabia or Bosnia or Fiji. It didn't matter. If you're a Muslim woman, you would understand that. The others are a bit more generic. That one, we had to make sure that the pictures, that particular picture, for instance, we wanted to get a woman in a head covering, but again, we didn't want a hijab because it meant that Sikh women wouldn't feel comfortable with that. It meant that Hindu women wouldn't feel comfortable with that if we had a woman in a hijab. So we had to make it that it was still covering. We had to make it that it was unambiguous, so that you couldn't say whether she was a Pakistani woman or an Indian woman.
Yep.
And then we had to make sure that there were no photos of women because mosques wouldn't put it.
Of course.
We wouldn't hang it up. So there was a whole heap of issues that we went through just to get the imagery right. And that was the difficulty that we had, was being able to convince. And we've got 53 Islamic societies in Queensland, and I think two out of that 53 put these posters up in their notice board. And one of them was my own in Cairns in North Queensland. That was my family. So they put it up, and there was one mosque here in Brisbane that did it, but nobody else did. They refused to acknowledge that there was a problem. They refused to acknowledge that Muslim men would even ever think of abusing their wives. They refused to acknowledge that, that they weren't doing what they could as imams and as community leaders. Or why do we need a women's organisation to look after them? That's what we're here for. Where none of them were trained, none of them have got social work skills, none of them have got counselling skills. In fact, a lot of women were going to imams and to leaders in the mosque, and then those men would listen to their story, turn around and tell their husband, by the way, your wife came in today and complained. So this was the atrocities that women were going through constantly.
Yasmin, can I just interrupt? And I want to give our wonderful participants an opportunity to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
In the chat already, we see that that both Rafta and Hinda have indicated that they run helplines to support victims of violence. And they also have helplines for domestic violence or any legal matters that are concerning women. And Rafta wrote about the powerful images. I'm just wanting to take a moment to open to the group and see whether there's a question. So does somebody have a question for Yasmin? Just say your name loudly so it'll come across.
Yes, Sundar Swarsi.
Very good. Sanders, off you go.
Okay. Thank you. Yasmin. It was very informative, and you have a very diverse background, and culturally you are very rich. I have a couple of observations and maybe questions and comments. Number one, I would like to know the social and social background of the women that approach you from different areas in terms of violence and abuse.
All sorts.
Number one, yeah, all sorts.
All sorts. I've got people here on student visas that are, I've got people here, young girls here that are just brand new married. They've been married for 3 weeks, 6 months, whatever. And I've got women who are highly qualified, doctors, you know, highly intelligent, educated women. They are all suffering to whatever degree.
Okay. And do you think, keeping in view your background and experience, that religion has to do something with this women abuse and violence, or it's not dependent on religion or what culture you belong from?
No, look, everybody gets it. I mean, in Australia, there's one woman a week that dies, being murdered by her, you know, a partner or a former partner, and that's just mainstream white women. So women being abused is not unique to Islam. It's not unique to Pakistan. It's not unique. The difference with Muslim women and Pakistani women is the culture and logi kyange. The stigma around divorce. It's the stigma around single mothers. It's the stigma around, you know, Allah doesn't like you getting talaq. You know, all of those sorts of issues are compounded on just the normal abuse. And normal everyday white women get abused. There's 1 in 3 women in Australia will be abused sometime throughout their lifetime. So, I mean, they're pretty horrific statistics. Women are being abused through genocide, through war, through all sorts of things all over the world. But what makes it difficult for women that have got a very conservative cultural background, it's those cultural issues, the taboos, the, you know, must live with your in-laws afterwards, you know, all of those sorts of things. And the way that we treat our men, you know, we give them status in our community. We give them, you know, the brothers can do whatever they want, but the women has to have a chaperone. You know, the boys can go out all the hours of the night, but the girls got to be home by Maghrib time. You know, so all of those sorts of issues. And I know some of those things are changing, but they're changing for those women that have privilege. They're changing for you because you can speak English. They're changing for you because you've got an education. They're changing for you because you've got a job and you've got financial independence. The amount of women that I talk with, you know, the stories that we hear about enslaved women and encumbered women and young girls in the villages and uneducated girls and the women that are working in your houses, the abuse that they are getting is completely different to the abuse that you know, college educated girls are getting, or girls that live in defence or in all these other places. So what I'm saying is privilege has some advantages, but for you as a privileged woman, you need to now utilise that privilege and use it for the betterment of the other women in your community and your society that don't have the ability to speak and that don't have the access to be able to get justice.
So Yasmin, we'll probably have just time for one more quick question. So can we? So if you'd say your name again.
Yeah, Rafat Shuja.
Very good, Rafata. Yes, off we go.
Yeah, thank you, Yasmin, for being here and giving your time. It's really nice to hear you. But the problem with women are always like same everywhere in around the globe. Here in Pakistan, yeah, when we see like more than 50% women are facing this any types of domestic violence, and we are running a helpline, and it's on like without any fund. Though we are funded organization, but that program done without any fund, and that is a core program. And sometime on the weekend, I used to take the helpline number and my other colleagues, so we are swapping, and we are voluntarily providing all these helps. But what we have seen, like my friend has asked if there is any category that is that some kind of category women are being harassed or face domestic violence. This is not the case. we used to receive cases from across the board, like from very educated families. Like even I have recently tackled a case that like doctor and she was employed and she was earning well, and she was facing the harassment. So we can't say it's always the harasser who has to blame, but not the victim.
That's
So
it.
it's really, yeah, it's
It
really
is
great. And yeah,
it's a,
COVID has also increased the case. Now we are during the COVID, we are also depressed and like we are staying at home and we can't reach them, those
correct.
victim of violences. So
Correct.
that was pathetic. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have seen.
What happened through
Yeah.
COVID for us is that women couldn't outreach to me or couldn't outreach to organisations because they were stuck at home 24 hours a day with their perpetrator, and that was a big problem. They couldn't reach out, and that's why you're getting messages at 2 o'clock in the morning when everyone's asleep and saying, "This is God. Can you help me? How do I get out of this?" What, you know, because he's lost his. He's home all the time. I can't even ring you. So that was
and all the referral mechanism was at the stop. Yeah, and all the referral mechanism was not present, and
absolutely.
so that was a pathetic conversation.
So
Thank you,
all of
Yasmin.
those women, now that we're starting to open up, all of those women are now outreaching to us, and now we are starting to see the impact of COVID, what it's actually had, because now they can start to tell their story. And this happened to me 3 weeks ago, and this happened to me last week, and whatever. So those stories are starting.
It's a daunting prospect. Now I'm going to have to close because our next speaker is going to be here. But can we just say thank you very much to Yasmin for her great contribution today. It was really stimulating, and what a way to get us started. Clearly, this is an issue that's resonating across the world. COVID's intensified it, and I do note, Yasmin, that on your beautiful posters, which our participants will be able to see because we'll add the slides, that you have the Queensland Government and other private providers of help services beyond the first response, which is what you do, on your notice. And I think that's the way you join up the services, and that's fantastic.
People to join. I tell people to ring DV Connect if they've got an issue, or ring the police if they need to use that. Utilise the funded services that are there, the free government services that are there, and then once you're in the system, then ring me.
Yeah.
And then help you navigate through the system, understanding the cultural perspective, and then advise those people that are looking after them, because we're unfunded. So look after those ones that are funded. That's what they're there to do. And just on a last note, we've one of the things that we did was one of the things I'm also involved in. We founded the Global Muslim Women, and we've got a conference. We've had a conference for the last 2 weeks, and this is our last conference on this week on Sunday. And we've had Muslim scholars from around the world who've been making panel presentations and whatever. So please, that's the last slide that was on our thing. Please register there, join in. It's been really interesting. For so long, men, and again, it's about the patriarchy. Men have been telling us how to understand what our religion tells us. I think it's about time now we hear from female scholars.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. So thank you very much again, Yasmin, for closing.
If I can just have a contact list of all these wonderful women. Next time I'm in Lahore, there's plenty of women there that I want to speak to.
Fantastic. No problems at all. Thank you very much again for your help today. Wonderful. Quick round of applause. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, and here is the address that Yasmin was speaking about, the Global Muslim Women. So thank you very much, and lovely to leave your responses in the chat, ladies, to thank Yasmin.